What's up, wrestling fans? This is Chris back with you from OTR Network. The big news that came out today was that Daniel Bryan announced his retirement from the WWE on Twitter. So, as you all might have remembered, Daniel Bryan has been going through a back and forth with WWE management on if they would allow him to return to in-ring action or not due to him suffering a really bad concussion last year, the last time he was actually able to perform. There's always been this back and forth, but now officially Daniel Bryan has, like I said, announced his retirement. Now, I want to look at this in a couple ways because I was actually going to do a video last night about news that was reported through multiple media outlets that Daniel Bryan actually requested a release from his contract probably within the last month from WWE, and they wouldn't allow him to get out of his contract. If some of you aren't aware, WWE wrestlers are even though they're considered independent contractors, so they're not considered employees. But because of their contracts, a lot of them, well, none of them are able to. This means that they don't have the ability to work for other wrestling promotions and things of that nature. And the only way that a person is able to get out of their contract is if they're terminated by WWE. WWE is the only entity that is able to let them out of their contract. Now, the reason why this is actually important is an important note is because since you're not able to just quit, this is the reason why there was this back and forth between Daniel Bryan and management. And it's kind of interesting, and this is one of the dynamics that I want to come at this situation at. It's kind of interesting that Daniel Bryan announced this the day after his Super Bowl commercial aired, where it was a Tide commercial, and he was talking about people doubting you and all this other type of stuff, and him overcoming that adversity. Now, last night after his commercial aired, Danica Patrick tweeted at him about it because I guess she's a spokeswoman for Tide as well, and he tweeted back that there were still people trying to keep him down. So with this announcement coming today, it makes you think, like, I wonder if him retiring is just due to the fact that he wants to return to in-ring action, but not so much that he can't because doctors won't clear him, but because WWE won't clear it, will basically told him that they will never clear him, but they won't let him out of his contract. Because one of the things that happens with these WWE contracts is that if you're out due to injury, WWE has the ability to extend your contract up to a year based on how long you were out. This is what happened with Rey Mysterio, and one of the reasons why he had an issue when he was with WWE and he was trying to leave was that because he was out due to injury for so long, WWE didn't want to let him out of his contract, even though it was coming up. So they extended his contract. I guess this is supposed to be a provision so that if you're out due to injury, you can make up that time without having to renegotiate a new contract. But sometimes it can be used to the detriment of the wrestler, because since they are not able to get out of there, if they want to actually leave, they don't have the ability to just get out of the contract because WWE has the ability to extend it. This situation does bring up the dynamic that wrestlers don't have as many rights as like any other employee, and it kind of brings up the necessity of a union for wrestlers and like for UFC fighters as well, because when you're basically at the mercy of the major corporation and but you're not considered, when you're not considered an actual employee, it allows that company to get around certain things, certain laws and so forth that they would have to abide by through the government because they're the actual employees. But at the same time, because of the way contracts are structured, you aren't able to you're not able to get that protection. But WWE has all the hand. Now, here's the other way. This is the other way that I wanted to approach this story, this big news story, is the fact that Daniel Bryan has been injured for a long period of time, and it's not like he just suffered one injury, and that was it. The problem was that he has for the last few years, as you all know, has been off TV because due to various injuries, whether it be due to the injury to his neck where he suffered nerve damage, the concussions and things of that nature. So it could also be, because I'm not going to sit here and say that it's all WWE's fault, because they're protecting Daniel Bryan from himself, sort of like the NFL sometimes has to protect the players from themselves, because they would rather just go in and keep playing football, or in this case keep wrestling, even if it's against the best interests of their long-term health. Now, as we all know, or some people might know, because not everybody watches Total Divas. One of the things that's been on Total Divas is one of the storylines is the fact that Brie, who's Daniel Bryan's wife, doesn't want him to wrestle anymore because of the fact that he could permanently injure himself or something really bad can happen. So from that standpoint, you have to think that it's possible that Daniel Bryan finally realized that it's not in his best interest to continue pushing to do this type of job where you could ultimately cripple yourself or end up killing yourself, and just because it's something that you love. We understand. Obviously, we all know Daniel Bryan is very passionate about his career, and this is what he's always wanted to do, and we all commend him for that, because there are a lot of wrestlers that will just be totally happy with sitting in the back and collecting a paycheck. We've heard that from when CM Punk cut his, I won't say cut his promo, but when he did his interview with Colt Cabana, that there are wrestlers that just don't look at it as this is what they just want to wrestle. They look at it as this is a paycheck. So we definitely know that Daniel Bryan is about that, because he's pretty much been sitting at home collecting some sort of a paycheck, not his full check, because obviously if you're not wrestling, they're not going to pay you your full salary. But he's been collecting something, and if he was one of those guys that was happy with that, he'd just be sitting back. Or also, what was reported over the last few weeks was that WWE was willing to offer him non-in-ring jobs. So, because obviously they know that he's as popular as he is, they can't just let him just go, because there's too many people that actually that love Daniel Bryan. You all know I'm not really one of them. I'm not really a fan of Daniel Bryan as far as the way that they portrayed him, which to me was like a PG version of Stone Cold Steve Austin, where Stone Cold was fighting against the corporation and Vince McMahon. They had Daniel Bryan being the underdog fighting against the Authority, because I hate that storyline. But it's one of those things where ultimately you have to sometimes be protected from yourself, and this might just be what was necessary, not what was best for business, but what was best for Daniel Bryan's health. So I just wanted to give you all a real quick video on this situation with Daniel Bryan's retirement, and just give you a couple of the ideas that I had with this situation and what happened. Once again, thanks for joining us, or thanks for joining me. Be on the lookout for our next video this Thursday. We'll have more information. My partner Anthony will be able to give his opinion on this more. Until the next time, don't forget to follow us on twitter.com/OTR Network. Also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. But this is Chris, and I'll talk to you guys later.